delve into a subject called biodiversity, and I will be throwing light on a subtopic referred to as conservation. Conservation has a subtopic within the whole aspect of biodiversity. But before talking about conservation, we need to have a preview of the subject matter biodiversity. What is biodiversity? From a rough aspect, biodiversity comes from two different lines. Bios or bio, which means life, a Greek word meaning life, and diversity, which comes from a Latin word diversitas, which means variety, different aspect, different activities. So if you join those two words together, life in different level, in different aspect, in different capacity, then we would be able to have a scope of the subject matter biodiversity. Now, looking at it, life in different aspects, we won't be taking it down to conservation. But before going further, how does this biodiversity looked at? Well, I want to refer to its components. It has three main components which is being looked at that takes us down to conservation. These components I can refer to as the genetic diversity, species diversity, and the ecosystem diversity. When we talk about the ecosystem, when we talk about the genetic diversity, what do we mean? We're talking about the different species under the regulations or the rules of the law of genetics, coming from different, having all the species have their different genes, their different structural genetics, which leads to different aspects, different colors, different shapes, different lifespans. So these can be in a particular environment, but they have different aspects of genes which make them different. You can see, for example, bats are all bats, but they have different colors. They live in different environments because of their genetics makeup. That takes us to the other aspect of diversity, which is species diversity, right? These particular species can be considered living in a different aspect of environment. For example, the lion, the jaguar, and the tiger. You see, these are all different species. When we talk about the ecosystem diversity, we start talking about the different environment these species are living. For example, the marine ecosystem, right? The rainforest ecosystem. So you'll find out that all the species have different places, different locations which they are fit into according to their makeups. So you find out when we talk about the word biodiversity, then we are referring to all these embedded components or different types of diversities being in the general biodiversity. Ladies and gentlemen, knowing all this will take us to the conservation aspect of biodiversity. And I must ask you, as we're getting along, my first question is, why conservation in biodiversity? Why conservation in biodiversity? Hello again. Now we are moving to what is conservation, the general meaning of conservation. When we say conservation, what does it mean? When we say conservation, yes, there are so many words. One, the preservation, we can say keeping, we can say maintaining, we can say what? Storing, we can say, there are so many words that align with the word conservation, right? So what's the importance of conservation in biodiversity? If we have learned what is biodiversity and the components that are in the biodiversity, so how can we link it with the word conservation? Remember, conservation is basically what? The protection of the nature with the aim of what? Keeping our species and their habitat. You see, keeping our species and their habitat, you know, maintaining nature, maintaining Mother Earth. So you find out, say, that conservation in this particular aspect is a broad term. It's like maintaining the whole nature, maintaining the earth, maintaining everything that exists in the earth, especially the natural aspects which revolve around life itself. You see, so ladies and gentlemen, as we get along, you start thinking that, oh, conservation is very important in dealing with our biodiversity or our biodiversity. You see, you start seeing the importance, right, in conserving our biodiversity, which we belongs to, right? Now that we've known that, I would like us to know that life itself, right? Life itself is under what I refer to as what? An attack. If we cannot conserve our components within our biosphere. So that takes us to conservation, right? So ladies and gentlemen, let's try to know what's the importance. What is the importance of conservation in our biodiversity, right? Now, for me, I would like to say conservation serves as an indicator to save the various species in the biosphere. So it talks about what? The earth itself, the mother nature. It talks about what? Our ecosystem. It talks about what? The species which we are part of as human beings. You see, protecting everything because we too belong to that particular circle. You see, so that's just one of the reasons why we should conserve, to protect ourselves, to have a healthy what? Ecosystem, wherein we can have clean water, purify air, good soil. We would be able to regulate our climate, regulate nutrients and provide healthy food. We will be able to have what? Raw materials in abundance and resources for medicinal purposes. And lastly, we will be able to what? Have a stable ecosystem. So you now see the importance of what? Conserving our biosphere. You see the importance why conservation is very important when we talk about biodiversity. So ladies and gentlemen, let's move on as I take you to the various steps which I believe can create that kind of environment in our biosphere. Now, I would try to reduce the concept into two aspects. How do we conserve, avoiding the loss of our biodiversity, right? One, protecting species. By protecting our species. Two, protecting the environment in which us species are living in. Meaning, we are what? Protecting our ecosystem. How should we go about in protecting these things? One way, the governments should be able to what? Provide what is called legislative arms. Legislative arms. And those legislative arms should be able to what? Act on legislations, rules and laws at that higher level to what? To protect life itself. When talking about life, I'm saying species. Talking about all the species and what? And their ecosystem. Two, international treaties should be signed. International treaties should be signed. What do I mean by international treaties? These world organizations should be able to sit different regions in the world, different countries, to sign laws and regulations, make rules and regulations that will govern what? That will govern all the protection of these species and their environment. 3, red list. A red list is a particular paper wherein all endangered species, or we call endemic species, names are written for protection. Those species should not be touched. Those species should not be touched. They should not be touched, because what has happened? Why they are listed as endangered species or endemic species? Because due to the over exploitation, the species are beginning to what? Reduce and almost finished, which our younger generations will not be able to see. You see? Next, education. Education is paramount. Education is paramount, right from our local communities, up to international level. Experts should be able to sensitize and orientate the locals living in those communities or in our communities, so that they may be able to understand the importance of protecting other species and their environment, right? For example, they should be able to know the differences between forestation and deforestation. They may be able to know why it's important to maintain our ecosystem than causing more harms to our ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that forest conservation should be entertained in majority of our local areas. Why? When forest conservation is being entertained, we are able to regain our green economy. In what sense? One, even our weather, climate system will be able to regulate. Even what we call erosions will be minimized. What we also called cut fires will stop. But only if we can invest in forest conservation, meaning governments, heads of community should be able to preserve certain areas for forestation, so that we're able to maintain our species like animals, birds, and also be able to get abundance of green fruits for our balanced diet. Next, we also talk about what? Zoos. If there is enough space, zoos need to be created to maintain our endemic species which are almost a face of the face of the earth. Yes, to maintain them, you create a zoo wherein that will keep them safe, and that particular place can also become a forest attraction where other people will be coming to see those animals. Another thing we should be thinking of is what? Habitat preservation. Habitat preservation. When we talk about habitat preservation, we are also talking about preserving or maintaining places where species lived. We know that because of man for his thirst in artificial modernization has caused a lot of mayhem within the face of the earth, creating a lot of new roads, the thirst of creating a lot of new houses. So what happens? We cut trees, we divert waters, and at the end of it, natural disasters are always taking place. At the end of it, global warming is also taking place. Climate disasters. So you find out that if only some of these habitats are preserved, it helps these species to stay, be able to reproduce and be multiplied, so that we, the humans, as part of the species, will be able to survive, to have more fresh food, more balanced diet, as it will nourish and maintain our body as much as it keeps us healthy and balanced. Another thing we must be able to talk about is like public policies. Public policies must be set to maintain these localities, wherein people knows that there are laws. If we go against these particular laws, then the cause will be punishment from higher authorities. Ladies and gentlemen, if these rules can be set, I want to tell you that our biodiversity will maintain instead of losing its face at the rate at which it is going down. Now we are seeing a lot of issues, disasters, natural causes, but all these are being caused by what? The initial deprivation of the natural stabilization by man, creating artificial modernization in the aspects of what? Modernization. So it's high time to take us back to our localities and try to improve our way of life so that we can maintain Earth and its biosphere. Stopping here from now, this is your humble servant, Sir Michael Wallan, and I rest my case here for now till I continue with the next plan. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.